I'm back! Nightrider7602 here, and I'm here reviewing Scott Pilgrim Vs the World. Now, I posed this question earlier during the epic intro. Is this movie epic? And I only have to say this. Hell yeah, it's epic! This is a great movie. I went to go see this, and it blew my mind. I mean, the special effects were great and stuff. Now, on to the story. This story, Scott Pilgrim Vs the World, is about a guy named, of course, Scott Pilgrim, who's in love with Ramona Flowers. And in order for Scott to keep dating Ramona, he has to defeat Ramona's 7 evil exes in order to gain her heart. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, this is kind of the reverse concept of a love story. Like, when people are in high emotion, they break into songs. In Scott Pilgrim's case, they all break into fights. And it's pretty fun. This movie is not like one of those, like, oh, it's a love story, but it's an epic love story. And not only that, it's based off a comic book. Well, excuse me while I drink some of my tea. Yes, I am incorporating my drinks into this. And like I said, this is based off the comic books. And I will only to go over like a few noteworthy characters of my favorite. Scott Pilgrim is one of them. Another one is Wallace, his gay roommate. It's pretty funny. He's a funny character. He may be gay, but he's funny. And I like it. I like that guy. He's pretty funny. But the heroes really aren't the ones that caught my attention. Maybe except for Scott Pilgrim. But it's the villains. Yes, the villains caught my attention. All 7 of them. They're my favorite villains ever. Starting with, we got Matthew Patel, who is Evil X number 1. Now, here's the thing, though. In the comic book, I'm gonna nitpick this. He's actually Indian. He's Hindu. That's like that's why he does that head thing so much with like the Indian style thing. And let's see. Oh yeah, he has mystic powers, which is pretty funny. Like all the characters have like some kind of video game reference style of fighting. So, let's see. Matthew Patel, like, does fireballs and summon demon hipster chicks. Which is pretty funny. And, like, he looks so odd in the comic books. It's so funny. But he's a nice guy. I mean, not a nice guy, but he's a good villain. Well, not the best of the evil exes. He's certainly one of the good ones. Now we're gonna move on to number 2, and that is Lucas Lee. And he is a movie star. And William is, like, obsessed with him. Basically, he is muscle, and he has clones. So talk about Kajibajin no Jitsuda. You know, Naruto reference, whatever. Well, yeah, I like how he dies, actually. It's pretty funny. It's like, Scott doesn't beat him up. Scott dares him to grind down like a bunch of rails, and he just goes like way too fast, and he just slams into a wall. I'm like, wow, creative. It's a creative way, though, to kill a guy who's an ex-skateboarder turned movie star. I wonder, does Tony Hawk have a future in this? We may never know. But, you know, he's a good villain. He's okay. I mean, sure, the muscle and the clone thing kind of gets annoying for me. But I'm like, you know, which Lucas Lee is the real one? Is it this? Is this one the real one? We may never know. Or do we? Next is Evil X number 3, Todd Ingram. Now, there's actually a little story behind him. He's a guitarist for Clash of the Demon Head, whose lead singer is Scott's ex-girlfriend, Envy. Envy Adams. And in my opinion, she went out with this guy, and Ramona went out with this guy. He's a vegan. This guy's a vegan. Plus, he has psychic powers. I'm like, wait, what? Not only this guy is not afraid to hit girls, which I was like, I'm kind of afraid of like what's gonna happen to Envy. But this guy has psychic powers because he's vegan. Vegan psychic powers rule. But I'm not like a vegan type of guy. And the only way he gets defeated in this movie is by the vegan police. Yes, the vegan police like drains his power, which is kind of the odd one. And next we got Roxy Richer, Evil Ex-Girlfriend number 4, or technically Evil Ex-Girlfriend number 1. Yes, Ramona. To all the people who just want to know, Ramona was part lesbian for a while. She kind of got one of those phases, a sexy phase. I mean, she was just a little bi-curious, and Roxy's a little bi-furious. Go fig. And Roxy is like a ninja. She reminds me of my friend. She's like small, and she's like speedy. I'm like, wow. And the only way she gets defeated in this movie is Scott touches the back of her leg, which is some kind of weak point. Which is a reference to attack the weak point for massive damage. But I think she just took it this far. I mean, she was just, like, touched. And she's, like, in pain. I'm like, wait, what? That's how you beat her? And it's kind of funny. They all burst into coins later. Next, we got Evil Ex-Boyfriends, number 5 and 6. Kyle and Ken, I suck with Japanese, so I'm not going to say it. The question is, did Ramona date these two guys at the same time? And the twins basically have Wonder Twin powers, or they're like Guitar Hero experts, whatever. You're like, Wonder Twin powers activate. 4 of 2 Japanese twins who can play epic music. And they get defeated by losing a battle of the bands with Scott's band, Sex Babam, which is pretty cool name because it's referencing Mario. And last but not least, the 7th Evil Ex-Boyfriend, Gideon Mother effing Graves. This guy's a badass. I mean, this guy he's like a calm villain. He's not like one of those like threatening villains. He's all like, talking on the phone with Scott. He's like just casual. And yeah, but this guy Gideon actually is one of the boyfriends that actually have no other way to get Ramona to come back to him by using anything but mind control. And he's the final guy that's evil ex-boyfriend that Scott faces. And Gideon Graves, and I'm thinking of the video game when I think of this, he had like multiple forms, which is pretty funny. Like, I'll reference this to the game. Like, he's like Super Gideon. Like, his powers is just, you have to look at him, he's like super buff. Then there's like Ultimate Giant Gideon. Ramona went out with this guy. Then this guy, Gideon, is this the real guy? Like, yeah, this is like, that's the game reference for you. Basically, Gideon is just, his powers are basically just like sword. Like, he's like a swordsman, and he's some of his henchmen, which we never see in the movie. Now, Gideon Graves, he's one good villain. Now, I actually want to move on to one of my favorite. She's one of my favorite kind of side villains for this one reason only. And I forgot to do the picture, but her name is Knives Cho, 17 years old. Yes, I reference that from the comic book a lot, because every time I think of like a stalker, I go, Knives Cho, 17 years old. Basically, Knives is in love with Scott completely. She's high school, and Scott's like, I think in college? Well, here's the thing. Knives is kind of stalking Scott, and when she finds out that he's dating Ramona, she's all like mad, and she dyes her hair like Ramona's, and she tries to get Neil, the band's like fan, to like go out with her, and And actually, the weirdest thing I have ever seen in the movie was when Todd slaps Knives and her, and like she's all black hair. Neil's like, "You slapped the highlights out of her hair." I'm like, "Is that even possible?" That means it's not dried yet, man. So, what is my overall thoughts on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World? This game is, yeah. See, this movie has like a lot of video game references. So I just love it. I'm a fan of video gaming, and when good thought of it. Excuse me while I drink some more tea. Yes. My overall thought is this movie is full of game references and stuff. And oh wait, I forgot one last villain. And can you guess who he is? Nope. In video games, you can always fight yourself. So in this movie, Scott fights himself as the last villain, and he is called Nega Scott, which is pretty funny. I like this. He's like Nega Scott, and the only way Scott defeats himself is by talking to him. It was just pretty funny. They're just talking about random stuff like waffles or something, and he just leaves. He's like, "Okay, see ya." I'm like, wait, what? You just let like a second Scott out on the universe and nobody will ever notice it? Oh well, it's not my problem. And the movie itself was amazing. I love the special effects. I just love how every time an evil X is defeated, they just goes KO on those effects. Not all of them have KO, but I just love it. Excuse me. Maybe this is a great movie. Maybe it's not for you, but I recommend going to see this movie maybe once or twice because it's a good movie. And read the comic books. And well, to close this up, I will give Scott Pilgrim vs. the World a 10 out of 10. This is a great movie, one of the best I've ever seen so far. I still have to go see The Expendables, and I'm going to review that, and Inception. Oh my god. Well, you can see that later, especially now with my new opening, WBX. So, expect a lot more from me. See you later. Knight Rider 7602 signing out. Peace.